morning, good morning, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, maybe if you're getting ready for bed. But this is just a quick 10-minute live stream. We're going to be talking about for the rest of the week, through Friday, we're going to be talking about radical authenticity and emotional intelligence, which is actually a very serious component. And a lot of people may not realize this, which is kind of the point of the live stream. So you can be made aware. And what is happening? Let me close that. Okay, so that's over with. Sorry about that. If you are watching this live, please go ahead and give me a hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and give me a replay. Maybe throw in some emojis about how you're feeling right now. And first question I'd love to ask you is kind of what is your understanding of emotional intelligence and how it relates to your business? I'd love to kind of know what your initial impressions are of emotional intelligence, what that even means to you. If you're not sure what it means, that's okay. You can let me know that too. It's not a test. Don't feel like you should have studied and you didn't. But yeah, go ahead and drop me those comments. And over the next rest of the week, we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence and how it relates to radical authenticity. And it relates so very much. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into it because I got about 8 minutes left. Let's see. Okay. All right. We've got some fire emojis. See, that's what I'm talking about. Give me the fire. I love the fire. And Krista says she is completely ready for it. So let's go ahead and do this. So self-awareness is the first kind of foundation. It's actually the foundational quadrant in terms of emotional intelligence. You have to be self-aware. And this might be something you've heard me say. If you're going to be authentic with someone else, the first person you have to be authentic with is yourself. You have to do it for yourself first. And so with self-awareness, higher self-awareness leads you to higher emotional intelligence in some of the other quadrants. And so just real quick, the quadrants are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and social management. So it's those four. And so I'm just kind of peeking here at my notes. And so self-awareness is kind of like this deliberate understanding of your self-identity, like your image, your feelings, your motives, your desires, and all of that, but also how you fit in with the various contexts of your life, right? And also to have that empathy for self. And as entrepreneurs, I think we don't necessarily have enough empathy for ourselves. And if we can't do it for ourselves, like who's going to do it, right? And so that's one of those things is that self-appreciation. You might have heard me speak in previous live streams about your belief in your intrinsic value as a human being, right? Your belief in your intrinsic value outside of those other things. And so self-appreciation is actually a part of self-awareness. And in entrepreneurs, it's chronically lacking, which can lead us to seek external validation and cause us to jerk our businesses around in different directions, right? Another aspect of self-awareness is your ability to assert yourself and to be conscious and intentional with the things that you do. So a lot of this is boundaries, but also taking that initial self-appreciation and the self-awareness, like your understanding of yourself, and actually being able to express it at that point, to assert your authentic self into your reality through actual expression or into other people's realities by expressing that authentic self. And then another aspect of self-awareness is your ability to identify your emotions. And the reason why that is so important is because your emotions are not yourself. Your emotions are data. Your emotions are feedback based on the different experiences that you have, both internal and external experiences that you have. You can be angry, but you are not anger. You can be sad, but you are not sadness. And so when you are able to identify your emotions, you can actually decide if those emotions are serving you or not. And the ability to identify emotions leads into the one of the other quadrants of emotional intelligence, which is self-management. So once you hit self-management, and we'll talk about that tomorrow, but self-management is where you can kind of be like, okay, this is serving me or not serving me, and you can actually do something about it. But if you're going to actually do something about it, you have to be able to identify. Right. And so in my own case, in terms of radical authenticity, I can have something that makes me upset, right? Like a few live streams ago when I talked about appropriating causes for marketing boosts, and I talked about the article about personal branding that basically was like, in a world full of hashtag me too's, how do you stand out? And that was them appropriating the me too hashtag, which, I'm a survivor, a two-time survivor of military sexual assault, and I felt a very strong particular way about the use of that hashtag. I was angry about it, but I was able to identify that emotion and, okay, like that emotion is not myself, but how can I now use this emotion? And that use ended up being in that live stream where I was able to not eliminate my anger, but I was able to express it to you. And through that expression, anybody who watched that live stream understood exactly how upset I was and what I thought could be done differently. So much so that somebody actually did, somebody in my audience emailed that company, let them know that they needed to issue an apology and then maybe needed to look into hiring a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant. So my emotions came through enough that somebody took my live stream one step further. I did tag them. I tagged them on LinkedIn for that portion of the live stream, but it caused someone else to actually take action because I was able to convey my emotions about that, and they also felt the same way. So that is what I wanted to share with you today about radical authenticity and self-awareness. Your self-awareness, as you increase it, you will unlock things inside of yourself. You will have observations about your own internal environment that you can then use to manipulate and control your external environment to your favor. And the big thing here is that once you are authentic with yourself, and that it requires a high level of self-awareness, you can then be authentic with other people. And again, I say this all the time about radical authenticity. Radical authenticity is a lifelong process because you are going to spend your whole life getting to know the spirit, right? The soul, the mind that resides in this body, right? This body of yours. And so authenticity is kind of almost an ever evolving thing as our understanding of ourselves evolves, right? So I'm not saying that your authentic self needs to be the same for the next 5 years, 10 years. We all understand, anybody who works in authenticity and vulnerability, courageous self-expression understands that this will evolve over time. But the very best thing you can do is be authentic as you can within a particular moment. And that requires a high level of self-awareness. Again, the first quadrant of emotional intelligence. So thank you so much to everybody who is here. If you could drop some comments, what do you think about what I offered, right? So self-awareness, the components of self-awareness include like self-awareness, right? Or self-recognition, but also self-appreciation, assertiveness and consciousness, and then that ability to identify your emotions. How do you think you're doing with that right now? Let me know in the comments. If you feel like your self-awareness is high, please let me know how that's impacted your business. I'd love to have this discussion with y'all in the comments. And then just again, remember about mid-April, these live streams are going to shift to only being in the Defiant Business group. The link is included in the description, either up here or down here, depending on where you're catching this live or as a replay. Do be sure to join the Facebook group so that way you do not miss any of these daily 10-minute live streams. And tomorrow I will be talking about radical authenticity and self-management. So I look forward to continuing the discussion with you. And again, let me know in the comments what you thought, what's going on, and I will see you tomorrow.